Hi, I'm Prasad Kapre, the managing partner of Blue Skies Business Management Group, which is a consultancy group on the gems and jewelry industry. I'm from the DLC Mumbai chapter. And the topic that I'm going to talk about is actually a very fascinating, very different, and very interesting field, which is the latest trends happening in the diamond world. So it is all about the future of diamonds, which is the lab-grown diamonds. So lab-grown diamonds, it's actually more beautiful than you imagine for less than you think. And there are various different reasons for it. We always say that diamonds are a girl's best friend. But with technology, I think is getting more fascinating. The brilliance, the fire, the sparkle of a diamond, which is now growing with leaps and bounds, and because of the technology that you bring into the table. What is very interesting is that the demand for lab-grown diamonds is picking up in India, and it's really been hitting the roof. Though, of course, it's a very small base at the moment. Economic Times very clearly states that it has a growth of 58% year on year, which is phenomenal. And as we create more awareness about lab-grown diamonds, I'm sure this growth rate is going to even accelerate further. But the question is, what are lab-grown diamonds? And what I'm actually quickly going to take you through is a little background about how the consumers have evolved over the years, and then what, who, how, when of these diamonds. So coming to the consumers, if you go back to the early 1950s, especially a generation senior to me, when it was an industrial revolution, there, especially in India, the jobs were actually for survival. As long as I have a job, I'm going to stick to that company, and people would stick to that company for 35, 40, 45 years. And even if you have an abusive management, still people continued in their job because they were desperate to have that job just for survival. Then came the late 70s and early 80s, where there was an information technology and internet revolution. And that actually changed and revolutionized the industries. And in the bargain, even the salaries hit the 4 or 5 figure salaries. And that's where the consumers started moving from just doing jobs for survival or living on certain basics, to actually getting into a standard of living where they wanted their own car, they wanted their own home. So the standard of living actually changed quite a bit. And now, 2000 onwards, there has been a further revolution which has happened. That's the third revolution, as I call it, which is more on social and digital revolution, where it's no more about jobs for survival or standard of living. It's now quality of living. And what's very, very, very interesting is all the millennials that we talk about, the amount of research that has been done across the world, and not just in India, very clearly say that these new generation is very, very conscious about their environment. They are very, very conscious about saving the planet. And that's also because the fact that the day they have been born, there have been these kind of education given to them, save for trees, save forests, save water, save electricity, and all of that. So it is all about saving the planet, and for that, they are happy using eco-friendly products. So today's responsible consumers need responsible products, and that includes the diamonds. So the fact still remains, what are lab-grown diamonds? So lab-grown diamonds are chemically, physically, optically, and even thermally identical to mined diamonds. And I here insist on the word identical, and this has been a statement given by the director of GIA, which is the Gemological Institute of America, and also endorsed by the Federal Trade Commission, which governs the diamond world in the US, across the world actually. And so what it means is these diamonds are now absolutely identical like the mined diamonds. Now, there are two different kinds of diamonds which are grown in a lab. Now, when I say they are grown in a lab, is basically what we are trying to achieve is create exactly the same environment which was there below the earth when the diamonds were formed 3 billion years ago, versus creating the same environment now above the earth. The diamond grows on its own. So there are two different technologies. One is chemical vapor deposition, which is called as CVD diamonds. And the other is a high pressure, high temperature, which is the HPHT technology. The CVD, which is the latest technology, which has been largely developed in India, and India is the largest grower at this point in time. But because it's exact replication of what happens below the earth, so it gives you the pure form of diamonds, pure carbon, as we call them, because it's also nitrogen free, because there is no infusion of nitrogen in the process. So in the bargain, these are all nitrogen free, which is the purest forms. And so what it means is when a certification agency like GIA or any other agency which certifies these diamonds, they give a special certification which is called Type 2A. Now, less than 2% of mined diamonds actually get this, and Kohinoor is one of them. So what it technically means is actually every CVD is as good as a Kohinoor quality. And so what it means from a consumer perspective, that the sparkle, the fire, and the brilliance of a diamond and the radiance is much better than a mined diamond. It, of course, attracts premium over HPHT because of its superior technology. And the interesting part is that there is no mining involved. So there is no deforestation. There is no harm done to the environment. And so they are considered to be environment friendly and sustainable. And because there is no mining cost, so obviously that is being passed on to the consumers. So they are much cheaper than the mined diamonds. The other technology, as I said, is HPHT, which is largely developed in China, but it has a molten metal inside, and so it is not the purest form of carbon, and that's why it doesn't get that Type 2A certification. So it's slightly older technology, and they are still not able to grow beyond 3 characters, but yes, the technology is evolving. And again, here also there is no mining cost. So the big question mark is there a difference? Here I always tend to give an analogy of a IVF baby. I mean, like a test tube baby. Once the baby is born, you can't identify whether that's a natural baby or a test tube baby or IVF baby. It's a similar thing. Once the diamond is there is no way you can really identify with the naked eye or even with certain specific instruments, not even under 50x. And why is it so? Because as I said, they are chemically, physically, and optically absolutely identical to mined diamonds, and vice versa. So mined diamonds are identical to lab-grown diamonds. Similarly, the conditions that prevalent below the earth is now what we are able to control it and create it above the earth, and we can control the temperature, pressure, and the gases, so we get the purest form of carbon in CVDs. Is a similar process that happens below the earth in the mined diamonds. There is no mining, easy to extract, they are affordable. Because there is no mining cost, so it is all passed on to the consumers, and it's almost 1/3 the price of mined diamonds as of today. And it's the identical certification which happens by any international labs like GIA or SGL or IGI. And all these labs actually give the 4 C's certification, which they normally give for mined diamonds. It's the same certification for lab-grown diamonds as well. So practically there is no difference. But let's see on the difficult physical and chemical properties. Is there any difference on the parameters? So the big difference, if at all you see, is the last column, which says no difference. Right? So whether it's chemical composition, reflective rate, relative diversity, color diffusion, hardness, thermal conductivity, thermal expansion, transparency, resistivity, compressibility, I mean, you name it, any properties, whether physical, chemical, or thermal, they are absolutely identical. And the best part is, of course, these are all conflict-free. So they are absolutely ethical. Coming to when I say this is the future, now why is it the future? Now, if you actually study the Frost and Sullivan model, which is the research report given by this agency, now there is a huge gap which is happening between demand and supply of rough diamonds. Now, as of today, we are sitting in 2022, and the last report said that the total mining that happened was 116 million carats, whereas the demand is close to about 178 million carats. So there is a huge gap there as well. And already the mines are depleting. And in 2020, there was the largest Argyle mines by volume that had to shut down. In 2021, there was this Mir mines in Russia that have shut down. So most of these mines are actually depleting and getting exhausted of these diamonds. And that's where over the next 50 or rather 30 years, that is by 2050, the total demand is going to be very close to about 300 million, whereas the production, or rather the mining of mined diamonds, will come down to as low as 14 million. So there is going to be a huge gap of almost 278 to about 286 million carats. As recent as 2030, the gap is estimated to be 159 million carats between demand and supply of rough diamonds. And that's where lab-grown diamonds are going to fulfill this. The next question, of course, is where are these lab-grown diamonds grown? As of 2021, as per Bain & Company report, the total production that happened by March 2021 was 7 million carats of lab-grown diamonds. And India is one of the major contributors to the CVD. As I said, they are the largest grower in the world. India is the largest grower of CVD diamonds. Out of that 7 million carat, it was about 1.5 million carats. The HPHT, which is of course China's domain, that was about 3 million carats. And the rest comes from US, you have it in Singapore, and some in Middle East as well. So the current production is 7 million carats, and as I said, miles to go. So there is a production which is happening, growing at rapid pace. But it's also the fact that because the natural mines are depleting, so the gap is always going to remain. So the pricing of these diamonds is also going to be actually linked to the demand and supply. Now the question is, already in countries like US, it's a rage, to buy these lab-grown diamonds, and people are absolutely delighted to have lab-grown diamonds with them. And so what is the reason why people are buying across the world? And there was a recent study done by De Beers, which was released in 2021, that was last year. And what was very interesting was there were two factors which actually put the scales in favor of lab-grown diamonds, and which was one, every consumer wants to buy brands which are ethically responsible, and the second was they are eco-friendly. I mean, it has to be a sustainable brand. So ethical and sustainable, these are the two big points which plays on a consumer's mind today, as I said, because they want to save the planet. What is very interesting is that India, 76% of the consumers actually said, which was even higher than the US, and they want to buy ethically responsible brands. And also, if you look at sustainable brands, India again was at 87%. So there is a huge requirement of these two parameters in any brands, any products, and especially in diamonds. In mined diamonds, if you actually see, the diamonds have been actually gifted by God to the mankind. And what you're paying for is actually more of the mining cost, and of course then cutting and polishing and the rest of the process. But at least the initial raw material is actually free of cost. But in this case, because there is no mining cost, so obviously they are much cheaper and affordable. It also gives you value for money because now you can afford bigger sizes. So instead of going for a 1 carat mined diamond, why don't you go for 2 carat mined diamond, or maybe even a 3 carat mined diamond, maybe for more or less exactly the same price. So it is great value for money. And as I said, because these are the purest form of carbon, which is a type 2A certification that you get, so the sparkle, fire, and radiance of these diamonds is much better than a mined diamond. Currently, it is trending all over the world, and it is the fastest growing category in the world of gems and jewelry. So the question is, who are the players? The first and the foremost, of course, is De Beers, who in 2018 introduced their own lab-grown diamond brand called Lightbox, and so now it's available in the US at the moment. In the Middle East, you have Damas, another big brand, which has introduced a brand called Gaia. And then there is, of course, Pandora, which is across the world. They have decided not to deal in mined diamonds anymore, and all the diamond jewelry they have shifted to lab-grown diamonds. And if you see the other brands in US, especially at the retail end, whether it's Walmart, Macy's, Zales, Diamond Foundry, Signet, Hillsberg, all of them have actually introduced these as a section, and there the growth rates, especially in the engagement ring concept, is growing at a phenomenal pace of 68%. So which is what grows to prove that the millennials are looking for environmental friendly and sustainable product. Coming to who are the players in India, you have Limelight as one of the leading brands of lab-grown diamonds. Then there is Fiona, there is Nitya, there is Vandals, and there is Ananta, and many more which are coming up. So, you know, it's hitting the Indian markets in a big way. And I think by this Diwali, there is going to be a huge plethora of brands which are going to be available. And it is for your choice. Then it's up to you whether you want to double the size or half the price. And that's what is beauty about these lab-grown diamonds. So as a DLC member, in case you have your own lab-grown diamond jewelry brand and you wish to launch it in India or even worldwide anywhere, you can be in touch with me. I'm an expert on planning the strategy, marketing, creative communications, and of course, creating a brand. So feel free to be in touch with me. And I think there is enough potential in India as well as worldwide for these brands to grow. At the end, actually, I would love to thank Mr. Jimmy Mistry for giving me this opportunity and to be in touch with all the DLC members. And I think it's a phenomenal platform which they have created. And it's unique, and it's, I think, the first of its kind to have people coming from all over the world and experts in their own domain coming together and gaining knowledge and information from each other. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jimmy.